As we age, our connections to our family, friends, and community become more important than ever. But don't wait until you're 65 to start developing these. Even Michael Phelps talked about how important his connections to his family and friends were to his mental health on a recent episode of Jimmy Fallon. So in this week's episode, I'm talking about the Older Americans Act and Older Americans Month. And the theme this year is powered by connection. So no matter how old you are, I hope you'll tune in and learn 5 quick ways you can connect with others and how you can get involved with your community. And you can also check out my YouTube Live from May 14th if you want to know about some of my own personal struggles with social isolation and loneliness and 2 things I've done to turn that around this past year. Welcome to This Is Getting Old, Moving Towards an Age-Friendly World. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Batchelor, and I am a nurse and a nurse practitioner, and I've been caring for older adults and their families for over 25 years. Before we dive into today's topic, I wanted to share a few of the different ways you can connect with me. You can go to my website, melissabphd.com/join, and sign up to be an HYSU Insider for free. If you've ever looked for one of my downloads from past episodes, they're all in one place for you. But you can also upgrade to become an HYSU MVP member. And here you'll find all the videos and resources curated by topic. So for Alzheimer's disease, it's divided by early, middle, late stage, as well as brain health, healthy aging. And we're continuing to add more content to that each week. And later this year, I will also be putting out courses. And if you're an MVP member, you get a discount. And I'm also doing a live monthly Q&A for my MVP members. You can also become a podcast member on YouTube. And depending on what level of your membership, you get early access to my weekly videos. You can also join me for a monthly live Q&A webinar. And you can tune in weekly for a live stream with me. Right now, I'm doing these live at 5 on Tuesdays, and for through the end of May, I'll be doing them for the public, but soon this will be a YouTube Elite members only perk. Every May, the Administration for Community Living provides leadership for the observance of Older Americans Month, and the ACL establishes the theme each year, and May is used as a time to recognize the contributions of older adults, to highlight trends in aging, and to reaffirm our commitment to serving older adults in our communities. So in my YouTube Live on May 14th, I shared some of my personal challenges with feeling lonely and socially isolated when I lived in Northern Virginia, and some personal examples of things that I've done to turn that around since we moved back home to North Carolina. Check that out. And I usually don't see all that much about Older Americans Month when I'm kind of out and about in my daily travels. But last week, I saw this big billboard here in Wilmington dedicated to Older Americans Month. And I tried to get a picture of it with my phone so I could share it with you guys. But before I could get my phone out, the billboard changed and then the light changed. But I did see it. So kudos to our local area agency on aging for running that ad. So let me know, have you seen anything in your community acknowledging Older Americans Month? If so, drop it in the comment below and let me know. So in preparing for this podcast, I was like, I kind of knew when the Older Americans Act and month started, but I digged a little bit deeper and found out that Older Americans Month actually began in 1963 when President John Kennedy and members of this National Council for Senior Citizens, we wouldn't call it that anymore. It would be the National Council for Older Adults or Aging People. But at that time, there were only 17 million Americans that had reached their 65th birthday. And nearly a third of those older Americans lived in poverty. And there were really very few programs to help meet those needs. And when you compare that to 2022, we have nearly 58 million people over the age of 65. And over the next 40 years, this is going to double to more than 82 million. So this now is going to equal about 17 to 23% of the total U.S. population being over the age of 65. But 2 years later, in 1965, President Lyndon Johnson is actually the one that passed the Older Americans Act and formally declared May as Older Americans Month. The Older Americans Act established the Administration on Aging, which was the first federal agency to address the struggles of older adults. It also introduced nutrition programs, help with transportation, federally funded adult daycare, legal assistance, and other services. And it paved the way for the passage of Medicare to provide health care for older adults. What we needed when this was passed is very different than what we need now. And so there's constantly like a reauthorization of the Older Americans Act, and that just happened again this year. So you can Google Older Americans Act 2024, and read more about that if you're interested. This year's theme is Powered by Connection, and that was chosen to recognize the impact that meaningful relationships and social connections have on the lives of all people, but particularly older adults. And when we recognize and nurture the role that connection and connectedness plays in our lives, then we can reduce social isolation and loneliness for those people that we care about. And ultimately, it's going to improve the health of all Americans as we age. And our connections to others and our communities is more important than ever. Research now shows that 1 in 4 older adults experience social isolation, and that, just having been through a pandemic, it actually forced social isolation on all of us. So you should really understand the impact that social isolation has and how hard it can be on our mental and physical health. In fact, it's actually a national epidemic, loneliness and isolation. It's so bad that the U.S. Surgeon General released a report in 2023 about it, because being connected to our family, friends, and communities plays a big role in our overall health. In fact, the health implications for being socially isolated and feeling alone are the equivalent of smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. So, but cigarettes would make you feel like crap, but so would social isolation and feeling lonely. And when you look at the blue zones, age-friendly communities, and the social determinants of health, like all of those have a component of social connection to them, and we need to be mindful of it. So there are a lot of different ways that you could get involved to support older adults and help them to age independently and with dignity. And here are just 5 really quick ideas of things that you can do to connect to others. The first one is you can invite more connection into your own life by finding a new passion, joining a social club, taking a class, or trying new activities in your community. In the YouTube Live, I shared a couple of different ways I've done that. I've joined a couple of different board of directors here. I've taken a class, and each of those activities just has allowed me to grow more friends and grow my network here in Wilmington, as well as connect to some of my older friends and be more in touch with my family. The second one is to stay engaged with your community by giving back through volunteering, working, teaching, or mentoring. So I think these examples actually fit into this one as well. But one of the other things I've been doing in my day job, have a research project going right now, and I've hired 11 UNCW students to work on this project. And I think after I get all of them hired, I'll have about 15. So that is the teaching and the mentoring piece. But it's allowed me to connect with UNCW students and to reconnect with the university in general. The third is to invest time with people and to build new relationships and discover deeper connections with your family, friends, your colleagues, or your neighbors. And the different ways that I've been doing this over the past year is going to church with my family on Sundays. And when I say my family, that's my mama and my daddy and my grandmother and my aunt and my uncle and my cousin and her husband and our family friend. So that's a lot of people to go to lunch with on a Sunday. But it is a lot of fun. It's not only been good for me, it's been good for my son, because that's also a day where when we get done with lunch, after my mom and I take a nap, my mom and I play Boggle, and my son can play guitar with my dad, because my dad started learning how to play the guitar at 70 years old. And so it's just heartwarming to hear the conversations that they're having while my mom and I are engaged in a very intense game of Boggle. And if you've ever played Boggle with me, you know it's intense. The fourth is to organize an intergenerational game night. That could be Boggle. It could be Scrabble. It could be whatever game you want. But, bringing your kids, older neighbors, younger neighbors, but basically just saying, hey, we're going to do a game night, and just having a bunch of different games is fun. One of the things that I've been doing with Davis also is, some friends, and I've learned how to play ping pong. Like, I would have never thought I would play ping pong, but I'm playing ping pong because Davis likes it, and I need something to do with my kid so he doesn't sit on the couch all day and watch Trailer Park Boys. Don't tell him I said so, but it's true. And fifth, coordinating attending a musical event. So my girlfriends and I have decided that we're going to do a concert in August here in Wilmington. There's actually one going on there right now. And if the window was open, you could probably hear it. But it looks like they took a break, or maybe they haven't started yet. It's only 6 when I'm recording this. But that concert's getting ready to crank up. So coordinating, attending a musical event. My parents and I took Davis to see a Beatles tribute band here in Wilmington last week. I got to tell you, if you have a chance to see that, it was at the Wilson Center. It's really good. I've been to a couple of these tribute things, and I've not really enjoyed them, but this one was really good. And I can tell you more about that if you'd like me to. Just leave me a comment. I'll tell you more about it. But to finish this episode up, if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity, you can stop by your local area agency on aging or AAA, and you can find out what home and community-based services need your help. For example, help with Meals on Wheels. They may have like a Calling Angels program. They may have a letter writing program. But find out what initiatives your community has. And if you want to join us for the Age-Friendly Ecosystem Summit, a lot of the age-friendly cities and communities that I work with in Maryland, DC, Virginia, and we've added North Carolina this year, will share some of those different initiatives, and I have past episodes on those as well. But if you can't get out and about to meet new friends, you can also call or find your AAA by searching online for the Elder Care Locator. So just go to Google, type in Elder Care Locator, you put your zip code in, and it will tell you the closest AAA to you. But you could also call or text them at 1-800-677-1116. Because again, while those programs need volunteers, they also want to help anyone over the age of probably 60, connect with other people. And this can be done by phone calls, doing like letter writing for a pen pal program or online groups. And I know I have another podcast from like really, really early on where there is an online, you can do like a Smithsonian online, but you're actually in a group that you can either call in or watch online and listen. I just can't remember the name of that program right now. But if you would like to know, drop a message in the chat and I will find that episode and connect you to it. You can also follow along on social media by searching the hashtag Older Americans Month or hashtag Powered by Connection. So what other ideas do you have to celebrate Older Americans Month? Or what have you seen in your community that's acknowledging Older Americans Month? Any of those things, drop me a comment below. I'd love to hear from you and we will get those questions answered. So don't forget to go to my website, melissabphd.com/join and sign up to become an HYSU Insider or an MVP member. You can become a member of my YouTube channel. There's 3 different options for that right now. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. And if you subscribe on YouTube, be sure you turn on the notifications. And that way you'll get a notification when I'm live at 5 on Tuesdays. But also I'm posting to Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to remind you. So if you have found this information helpful, please like it, leave a 5-star rating, leave a comment, or share it with someone else, because all of that is helpful to me and to the podcast, and I really appreciate it. So thank you for listening. And until next time, be well.